A trail sign does something strange to your brain. The moment you see a name burned into a wooden post, a mile marker, a little map at the trailhead, the wilderness stops feeling like wilderness. It starts feeling like a hallway, a path the wild has quietly agreed to leave alone. So you walk it with earbuds in. You let your dog off leash around the blind bend. You stop watching the brush line, because a marked trail is supposed to be a promise. Nothing living out there ever agreed to that promise. We're not ranking these 12 trails by cliffs, currents, or heat, the things that actually kill the most hikers every year, but also the things that at least warn you first. This list is about a narrower, colder measure, how little warning you get before something is already on you. We're climbing from the animals that at least give you a second to react, up to the one where that second simply doesn't exist. Quick thing before we start. If trail encounters like this are the kind of thing that stay in your head after the video ends, go ahead and subscribe. It's free, it takes 2 seconds, and it means you won't miss the next one. Alright, let's start the countdown. Number 12. Maroon Bells Scenic Trail, Colorado, Moose. We open with an animal most people mentally file under harmless. That filing is the mistake. A bull moose can weigh close to half a ton, move faster than a person can sprint over rough ground, and, having essentially no natural predators, feels very little instinctive fear of humans. Colorado wildlife officials have logged dozens of moose confrontations along trails like this one in recent years, most triggered by hikers who wandered too close to a cow with a calf, or simply rounded a stand of pines without realizing an animal that size was standing still just off the path. Number 11. Wind Cave National Park, South Dakota, Bison. One rung up, and the misjudgment gets heavier, literally. Bison graze beside the trail with the stillness of livestock, and that stillness is the trap. A mature bull can top a ton, and despite the bulk, can outrun a person easily over short distances. In parks across bison country, these animals injure more visitors than any predator on the list. More than bears, more than mountain lions, precisely because people walk within a few yards for a photo, mistaking calm for tame. Number 10. Saguaro National Park, Arizona, Rattlesnake. Here we hit the most literal without warning attack on this entire list. Everyone knows the rattle, but the rattle is a courtesy the snake doesn't always extend. The bites that actually land are the ones where a coiled rattlesnake sat motionless in trailside shade and never sounded off at all, because a rattlesnake can strike roughly 2/3 of its own body length faster than a person can flinch. Thousands of people are bitten across the American Southwest every year, most within a step or two of a trail they'd already decided was clear. Number 9. Hurricane Ridge, Olympic National Park, Washington, Mountain Goat. This is the one nobody sees coming, not because the animal hides, but because almost no one's brain files a goat as a predator at all. Mountain goats along these high ridgelines have been documented stalking hikers, blocking trails, and, in the case of one widely reported fatal encounter, goring a man who tried calmly to shoo one away, severing an artery before help could reach him. It's rare, but it's on this list because it proves you can't judge danger just by looking at an animal. Number 8. Turner River Area, Big Cypress National Preserve, Florida, Alligator. Here, the warning disappears beneath the surface entirely. The slow, tannin-dark water along these trails hides alligators completely. No sound, no ripple, no sign at all. An alligator holds motionless at the waterline for hours and closes the distance in under a second when it finally moves. Florida has recorded dozens of fatal alligator attacks over the past several decades, most involving people wading into water that looked, right up until the moment it wasn't, completely still and completely empty. Number 7. Bear Mountain, Harriman State Park, New York. Barely an hour from New York City, this park sees black bear encounters every single season. And what makes it unnerving isn't rarity, it's proximity. Bears here have followed hikers along the trail for stretches at a time, holding their ground when shouted at. Wildlife officials have had to close sections repeatedly after bears stopped treating the presence of people as a reason to leave. Number 6. Chugach Foothills, Anchorage, Alaska, Brown Bear. At number 6, the landscape itself steals your warning. These foothill trails wrap directly around a city of nearly 300,000 people, that also holds a resident brown bear population. In salmon season, bears crowd the same streams hikers walk beside, and the noise of rushing water masks every footstep in both directions. The bear doesn't hear you coming. You don't hear it either. If a bear ambushed by a river unsettled you, brace yourself, because from here forward, this list stops being about animals that are startled and starts being about animals that choose. One of the next 6 has a documented habit of stalking hikers for hundreds of yards before deciding to strike. Another has killed 2 people in the same valley within a single month, and the trail at number 1 has erased the warning gap more completely than anywhere else in America. Let's keep climbing. Number 5. Lost Mine Trail, Big Bend National Park, Texas. Mountain lion. This is where the animal stops surprising you and starts studying you. Big Bend holds only a small resident population of mountain lions, and yet this specific trail has one of the most documented histories of lions trailing hikers anywhere in the country, pacing people from the brush, holding their ground when shouted at. A stalking cat gives you the feeling of being watched and nothing to point it at. By the time you understand why the back of your neck went cold, the animal has already decided. Number 4. Whiting Ranch Wilderness Park, California. Mountain lion. Same animal, one rung colder, on a trail most families consider tame. Sunny, suburban, popular. This park produced one of Orange County's first fatal mountain lion attacks, on a cyclist who'd simply stopped to fix a chain. What separates this case from a passing encounter is that the animal cached the body afterward, dragged it into brush, and partially covered it. The unmistakable behavior of a predator planning to return to its kill, not one merely passing through. Number 3. Hayden Valley Area, Yellowstone, Wyoming, grizzly. This stretch of prime grizzly ground has produced fatal encounters within the same single season, in the same valley, involving what wildlife officials confirmed through DNA was the same bear. A startled grizzly at close range is rarely hunting, it's reacting. But the instinct that saves you from almost everything else on this list, running, is the exact trigger that turns a defensive bear into a pursuing one. Number 2. Beartooth Pass, Backcountry, Wyoming, Montana, grizzly. High alpine terrain, thin trails, and one of the densest grizzly populations left in the lower 48 combine here in a way that leaves almost no margin. Multiple maulings have been recorded on this stretch in recent years, nearly all of them surprise encounters at a distance too short for either hiker or bear to react calmly. The terrain itself is doing half the bear's work, swallowing sound and hiding sightlines around every switchback. Number 1. Highline Trail, Glacier National Park, Montana, grizzly. And so we land on the trail, where the terrain and the animal combine to erase your warning more completely than anywhere else in the country. Glacier holds one of the highest grizzly densities on the continent, and its trails run through dense brush, blind corners, and rushing meltwater creeks that swallow sound in both directions. Bears here have killed multiple hikers over the past century, several of them in the last few years alone, almost always in that identical, narrow window. A hiker and a bear rounding the same bend at the same moment, with no time left to do anything but react. Look back down this list and notice what actually connects it. Not size, not teeth, not which animal is technically the deadliest. It's the vanished warning. The second that should have existed and didn't. The signage was up. The trail was maintained. Other hikers were often nearby. None of it changed what stepped out of the brush. Every trail on this list looks exactly as safe the moment before as it does on any ordinary day you'd walk it without a second thought. Which is exactly the point. The line we cleared through the wild was only ever a line. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and subscribe for the next one.